Hey Nancy, welcome. Good to see you.
Good to be seen.
So, on Chief Sally, and I think that's it.
I just texted him, so hopefully we'll hear from him in a moment.
Yep.
Hi, Chief.
Hello.
Looking dapper. Thank you for dressing up for us.
I know that's like the second time we've seen him all
Oh,
suit and
the only
tied.
problem is I didn't dress up for you guys. I love you, but it was
That's what you said last time.
You gotta butter it, gotta
um,
like
we had a police recruitment at Kane University. So it was all the different counties and different police. So we went there and
Yeah, but your answer is thank you, not
yeah,
I didn't do it for you.
but I appreciate the honesty.
right.
All right, so let's get this started, Mr. Wary. If everyone's gotten the agenda, it's already recording.
Yeah, we're all recording. We're set. We're going.
All right, let's do this. Thank you all for being here. I sent out an agenda earlier today in regards to the things that we'll be covering tonight, or some of the things we will be covering tonight. We may not actually deal with all of them, but first off, we will have our Office of Emergency Management update by our Business Administrator, Mr. Wary, followed by our South Essex Fire Department Operations Report by Committeeman DeLuca. Police Chief Report and Narrative from Chief Sally. A few discussion items on board, one about traffic, another one about regulating electric scooters and bikes, and the resolution regarding public speech and behavior we may not end up with tonight prior because we actually didn't get it. So that may be crossed off. However, there may be a new discussion item that ends up being brought up. Then we'll have our open public comment, and then we'll move into executive session for a couple of items that we need to discuss offline before we return to our public session and adjourn to our meeting until next April, well, to April 10th, 2024 for our next meeting. So starting off with our first update with our OEM update, Mr. Wary, take it away.
Thank you, Committeewoman Cripe. First, we received a reimbursement recently from FEMA for an old application from IDA that committee member DeLuca had worked on. So that is a welcome reimbursement. We had training last week on the EMMA grant, which is an annual grant distributed from the state. So we'll be preparing to submit that. And we have a training next week for all county coordinators up with the Essex County Sheriff's Department. I will be attending that, as will Deputy Chief DeMartini from SEFD. And that is my report.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Wary? All right, I see none. So let us move on to Committeeman DeLuca. Take it away for our fire report. Do you want me to pull the document up from Bob, or do you want to?
No, So I just wanted to share the calls for 2023. In total, we had about 4,800 calls for the year. And then I took out the EMS, which by far are the majority of calls, over almost 2,600 calls I'm sorry, about 2,000 of those calls are EMS. So it leaves us with about 2,500 calls, and you can see that other than EMS, what our firefighters are responding to are fairly, I'd say on a good side of it, they're fairly tame responses: lockouts, smoke detectors, unintentional alarms, some good intent calls, gas leaks. What's good about this is our cooking fires here, only about 4% of the runs are cooking fires, and actually building fires is even less, 3%. And often those are outside of Maplewood. This includes our shared services with other towns, our mutual aid. So it's a fairly, good spread across a lot of these. We are a little bit concerned about the number of here's like a smoke detector activation due to malfunction, smoke detector activation, no fire, unintentional. You have carbon monoxide detector activation malfunction. So we are going to try to do some community education on false alarms and try to get them down, because when we get an alarm in, our engines run, and that's lights and sirens often, and there's potential safety issues with the firefighters, being on the road, and of course other cars and people. So we're going to do some work. We've asked our fire officials to do some work on trying to do some community education, see what's worked in other towns to try to do that. But otherwise, going back to the EMS, I think in 2024, it would be a good thing for the township committee to have a serious conversation about how we want to continue to deliver EMS services in Maplewood. We do it now through a contract with SEFD. Of course, we did it as part of the fire department before SEFD, but it is a very costly proposition. It's and Maplewood has to pick that up 100%. So if we did not have EMS, our fire department could look a lot different, and would look a lot different. But I think that you balance that against the service that we are providing to the residents. We want to make sure that if we had a third party, which would generally be a hospital, whether it be Atlantic and the Overlook Group, or St. Barnabas and that healthcare system, we would want to make sure that there's sufficient coverage, because unlike South Orange, which has a private, they rely heavily on South Orange Rescue Squad. We do also, but there's just not enough South Orange Rescue Squad time at this point to serve both towns in a secondary capacity. So it is a conversation. I don't think we should make any decision now, but certainly through the rest of the year, we ought to have a serious conversation about how we want to provide EMS services in 2025.
All right, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Committeeman DeLuca? Yes, Mayor Adams.
Just could you go into a little bit of what our EMS service was before? We had the rescue squad building, and kind of, because there's a lot of people who weren't here then. And just for even Patrick's edification, what happened to that? Like, why is that no longer exist?
So for those of us who've been around for a while, it used to be that EMS was provided solely by the Maplewood First Aid Squad, and they were located in the pool parking lot there, which is the temporary location of the library. There was a problem I want to say about 20 years ago or so, of the Maplewood First Aid Squad being able to recruit sufficient volunteers, a sufficient number of volunteers to provide the service. So oftentimes they were not able to do the run, so we relied on the hospital, mostly UMDNJ at the time. And then when Wayne Crow was the chief, there was a big push to actually in the late 90s, there was a push by the township committee to get the fire department to pick up EMS. At that point, they were doing no EMS, and the unions fought it, and it was a big issue in campaigns and what have you. But eventually, it they took over more EMS, and then at some point, there was a little bit of competition between the fire department and the first aid squad. And the first aid squad, we designated them as the primary with the first, I'm sorry, the fire department was the primary and the first aid squad was the secondary. But even at that level, they couldn't keep up the membership. And then they had some difficulties in sustaining their operation. They had some leadership issues. They had a very sad death of one of their very strong leaders. So it eventually disbanded. It wasn't able to keep going. So we then relied solely on the Maplewood Fire Department for EMS. And we always had a backup. We still have a backup during the day. If our fire department is out on a call and we get a secondary call, if South Orange Rescue Squad cannot pick it up, then we do have backups with hospitals around. And we used to have a private service that did a backup, but they're not even Monarch, but they're not even in business anymore. So it's been very difficult to get EMS workers and certainly very difficult to get EMS volunteers. South Orange Rescue Squad runs a very good operation, and they've been able to consistently to get volunteers. They have a network in Seton Hall University, so they get college students to volunteer. So that's a good pipeline for them. And they're very interested in working with us and we with them. But there's a question, again, of capability. If we were to rely solely on them and not have our fire department do it, would we be able to deliver the service? We are, we are at the scene in minutes. And, because we're running it. And when you're relying on the hospital, they're generally coming from maybe an adjacent town, or even if they're in the town here, if they're pulled out, who's going to do the second? So there's a lot of logistics we'd have to think about.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's whether we would be able to start another rescue squad. I mean, that's a big lift.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
and
think
that'd be a
so.
years-long lift. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think that's even in the cards.
yeah.
And it's generally in bedroom communities, it's difficult to get folks. A lot of successful first aid squads they rely on people who work in the community, business people in the community, who are there every day. Most of our folks are gone. So
Well, maybe now we have hybrid, working. Maybe they're not as gone as they used to be.
Yeah, but still, that's still a lot of
I-
hours.
It's a lot.
It's a
I
lot
just,
of
I
hours.
just, yeah, thank you for
Yeah, I
that.
look forward to that conversation too. And quick question in regards to the messaging in regards to the fire alarms. I know that when we moved into our home, we had a fire system and it didn't come with instructions. And I'm wondering if that's something also that could be considered by the fire department when they go in there, for the number of people who move into places and have no idea how to use their system at all.
that's
Which
a
is
good point. I mean, we might even be able to offer a service that if you need assistance, call us, be proactive. If you move in and you want to go through your alarm system, give us a call. We can go over there and talk to them. So that's a good suggestion.
Yeah. All right. All right. Anyone else? All right. Let's keep it moving. Chief Sally, you're on. Do you want me to pull up the things on the screen or you got it? Oh, lost Chief Sally.
I think we just lost the chief,
Yeah.
just off this call.
Yeah.
Pat, you're monitoring, see if he pops back in.
I'm
Here he
looking.
is.
There he is.
He's
All
in the
right.
regular system.
Yeah, you gotta move him.
Yep, it's coming over now.
Jeez,
All right.
he got booted. I was asking, did you want me to put the the
I could
report
just
up
read
or-
it. I could just read it all. That's okay.
Okay,
All right.
that's fine.
So comparison from 2023 to 2024, our stats go back to January. So our robberies have gone down. We have 1 in 2023. We have 0 in January, and thefts went down 17 2023, 15 in 2024. Auto thefts continue to go down 9 in 2023, 5 in 2024. And the thing that we still see steady rising is burglaries. So in 2023, in January, we had 0. In 2024, we had 4. And that continues into our UCR report for the year. So from January to now, our burglaries, we had 1 in 2023, and we still stay at 4 in 2024. So that's the rise in crime we're having. The larcenies, thefts, still continue to go down. Year to date, 35 in 2023, 2024, 29. Motor vehicles, from 2022 to 2023, our motor vehicles went down. 2023 to 2024, they stayed the same. So 2023, at this time, we had 10. 2024, at this time, we have 10. Let me see what else. Assaults have gone down. 2023, we had 12. 2024, so far, we had 9. 8 clears. So it's still like last year, the domestic violence. It seems to be the reason for the domestic for the assaults we're having. And that pretty much is it for our crime report.
Okay. As far as the messaging goes, I remember when we pushed up early summer, I think it was, folks to make sure that they keep their windows closed, especially if they have like a key bowl where they keep their key fobs and stuff like that. It does seem like from reading the details on the report that almost all of them are preceded with in the early morning hours of that people are breaking into houses because doors are maybe unsecured, windows are open, and things are being put back on the counter again.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could put that messaging back out again, maybe in the weekly update, Mr. Wary, letting people know, hey, prevent these things from happening by putting your keys elsewhere. Have your windows open, but maybe open from the top instead of the bottom.
Right. Yeah, definitely with homes. It seems like the messaging is working for vehicles though. So because we've been trending down a lot. So it seems like whatever we're putting out there or whatever is happening out there, that's been decreased. And I think, because we, when it was cold, and this winter hasn't been that cold, but that's when we usually get those thefts, is when people are just running their cars in the morning and then they jump in, or they come to the Wawa and they run in for something. But now we have the officer there. So the officer has told people, you might want to think about turning your car off, that kind of thing. So I think that's helped.
Good.
One credit to the police department I want to mention, on my block, there was proactive police work. We had a neighbor who left their teenage child left the front door open when she came in late at night. And so at 3 o'clock in the morning, while the officers were making their rounds, they identified the door being open and rang and got the homeowners to secure the door. So the department got credit on an email chain I have with my block, chief. So but I, just thank you for that proactive police work, because when we talk about burglaries and things that are unsecured, it's evident that your officers are keeping an eye out for this.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. I haven't seen those 3 guys that leave their car running at the 7-Eleven when I get my coffee in the morning. So I haven't been around in a while. So I'm hoping that it's because they've kept their
Right.
car in good shape and it's not getting stolen, not got stolen. All right, does anyone have any other questions or comments for Chief Sally? Nope. All right, let's keep up moving. All right, our discussion items this month. There were some emails that had gone out last month and didn't get actually put on last month's safety committee meeting, so I apologize for that. There were additional traffic complaints regarding the school zones, in particular Bowdoin between Harvard and Prospect. A lot of parents who live on that block who park their cars in their driveway and actually encourage their friends who drop their kids off to park in their driveways and walk around the corner have found that they are dodging cars who are catting down Bowdoin trying to avoid school traffic. So in hopes to having another patrol possibly there, or even the officers who are working that corner, if they'd be willing to park their cars maybe a little closer to Bowdoin to discourage that behavior.
Yeah, I received a few emails from parents of students regarding the parking around the school. We did send officers over there, and they did issue, I believe that particular day, they issued 5 tickets or 5 summonses. Of course, we didn't catch them all, and then the email came back that we missed 1 or 2. But when we do have the officers available, we do send them to the different school areas. Clinton School is a complaint, Tustin School, and Southwood. And for some reason, we don't get a lot of complaints, but the traffic is kind of rough over there too. So
Yeah, you got to
yeah.
work hard to cause some trouble at
Right.
Seth Bolden.
Yeah. So we do deploy the officers there when they're available. I do have a few stats for Bowdoin. We did 7 details there. We had 2 motor vehicle stops, just specifically on Bowdoin. None issued, but again, it goes to maybe they were stopped on a side street or area near it. So Prospect Street, 4 were issued in the area of Prospect and the Crescents. 7 were issued on Prospect and Harvard, and 2 were issued on Prospect and Tuscan. So there were summonses issued there. We'll continue that. Again, it goes back to what we're talking about with the crossing guard situation. If we had, again, our officers are often on, details of crossing the children. When we do have extra officers, we do go to those locations.
No good, it's working. Committeewoman Engel had mentioned a couple days ago that in her delivering her kids to and from school at Tuscan and everything, she's noticed a significant improvement of behavior of cars. It's not perfect yet, but it's getting better. So it's working. So thank you for that, Chief Sally. Does anyone else have any questions in regards to parking? I don't believe we need to do a full-on traffic study. That's just me. We know what it is. People trying to avoid the school zone.
Right.
But if there's any messaging we can possibly put out for folks to leave 5 minutes early, 10 minutes early or whatever, and if they're aware they're going to be passing a school, just keep that in consideration that your kids or the other people's kids are walking here and need a safe way to get back and forth.
Right.
Yeah, Mr. Wary, on that, add that to like, our weekly newsletter. Just information, maybe even utilize the SMS. Just to get it out there, remind people. Everybody's always in a hurry.
It's true. And in some mornings you just can't get out on time, but
Right,
make it a
yeah, but
practice.
still.
Make it a
know,
practice
like-
to leave early. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen often.
I mean, I live right by here, so some of them, I've seen cars parked within like 2 feet of the stop signs, even though there's a little sign on it says 50 feet back, which is a lot, but so yeah, there's some sloppiness going on.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So the next item was something Committeeman DeLuca brought up in regulating electric scooters and electric bicycles. Mr. DeLuca?
Thank you. So we've talked a little bit about this in the past. We have, a growing problem, I think, and Chief, you can weigh in here on people on electric bikes and electric scooters. They're kind of like are out there and we're not sure what the laws are. I've seen both of these, going down Springfield Avenue in the middle. And
And on the sidewalks, which I don't think they're
And then
supposed
on
to
the
be on.
sidewalks too, yeah. So, and then of course, some have helmets, some don't. So I saw that Caldwell just put up a new, oh, I don't have it. What happened here? Here it is, okay. So Caldwell put up a new ordinance, and let me see if I can get it up some. Okay, so basically what we're talking, of course, defining what these things are, but just talking about that, anybody using an electric scooter, electric bike has to obey the traffic control. So if there's a red light, doesn't mean you go through it, it means you stop. And all the other things that you can't be on sidewalks. If there's a bike path, you can be in the bike path. If you're under 17, you have to wear a helmet. Speed restrictions, they talk about 20 miles an hour. Here's one, right away to pedestrians, right away to other traffic. Again, riding on sidewalks, not doing that. You can't be carrying stuff. You have to have two hands on the handlebars, lights at night, things like that. So this is a local ordinance. There are no state, to my knowledge, and Chief, you can tell me if I'm wrong or right. I don't think that state has really caught up with the new stuff here. So really, I think that it's up to the municipalities to do something with it. And I think we ought to consider adopting a similar ordinance. Chief,
Yeah.
what's your thought on this?
Yeah, the only thing the state says is that they're allowed to ride it on the street. The sidewalk, they can park it on the sidewalk, but they're not
Right.
supposed to be riding it on the sidewalk. Also, it says low, I don't know, low electric bike, or that's how they describe it. They have to have some kind of sticker on it saying that it is that, that is not modified speed or anything like that on
Right,
it.
right.
Also yeah, and then everything else pretty much falls under a person riding a bicycle, like a helmet, obeying the traffic laws, stop, all that stuff that goes with riding a bicycle. But the ordinance could restrict it driving, riding a bike in the park, or on town property, or that kind of thing. But yeah, that ordinance looks pretty good. I tried to look up reports that we have with those type of bikes. We did a quick search for it. We didn't see too many things. We saw one was stolen, and then another one was I think we stopped it for some reason, but it wasn't issued anything. So what I told my officers is that we're going to set up a new code for this. It's going to be a electric bike code. So if we do stop it, we are able to collect the data for it. So we'll give it to dispatch and let the officers know, and then look for these violations, and then we can set up a detail specifically for these type of bikes.
Do you think the ordinance would be helpful to you?
Definitely, yeah. Because even when I pull out the headquarters, like probably once a week, I see one, flying by me. And even the helmet thing is easy enough.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times they're not even wearing a helmet. So
No, and most of them, they're younger guys, they're not thinking they're invincible.
Right.
Two questions. One, does it address that single wheel type electric vehicle as well? Or does it only address bikes and scooters? Because we're seeing more of those single wheels out there as well.
I'm looking at the ordinance.
What are those called? Segway? No.
I can't remember. My daughter wanted one. I think she got
Segway.
one
A
to
trike?
realize it wasn't for her.
No, it's the
No, it's
thing
a
that
giant
cops
wheel
are on,
with like a platform on the others on
Oh.
either side.
like a something way.
I don't think it takes that. I don't think it covers that.
All right, and then my
Mine's
second
electric
question is, will we
bike.
permit these things? with
2 or
these bikes?
3-wheeled vehicle, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
but maybe we should, because those, what are they called? I keep thinking
Yeah,
Segway, but I don't
yeah,
think that's it.
it's something like that. Sedgeway.
Segway, like the
Yeah, the cops in New
have
York.
in the mall.
Right, well, that's the
Right.
single, I'm talking, the one that has a handle is called a Segway. There's a single one, however, that has no handle. You
Oh.
just balance your body on it.
Right,
It's a
that's
wheel
the-
with two platforms either side. That's not a Segway, that's something else.
Okay, whatever it is. Any wheeled vehicle, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, the definitions here talk about a scooter with a floorboard that could be stood upon by the operator with handlebars. So if it doesn't have
Okay.
handlebars, and then electric bike is defined as a 2 or 3 wheeled vehicle with fully operable pedals, an electric motor of less than 750 watts. That's what we were talking about.
Okay,
Class 1 was
Basically,
low
no
speed.
wheels on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
They're for walking.
So maybe we ought to start with what's, because I don't, we
Well, we
have to find language for that. So we
Right.
have language here, which is beautiful. We can always
That's good.
steal from another municipality.
just add if we need to.
So what I'll do, if it's okay, I'll put this on for discussion. I'll circulate the draft so people can look at it before Tuesday.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Comfortable, we can move forward.
And
Okay.
also, would we be considering permitting for bikes? Because I know that we've been trying to encourage people to get their bikes registered at the PD. Would this be something also that we would push to have them permitted as well?
I don't know if you can mandate that. You can, I think it can only be
Encourage people to do it.
Right. That's what we do with the bikes. We kind of, it's kind of like,
Right.
you volunteer to do it. But
Right, but at the same time, if you're starting to see some of these get stolen, it might be the impetus to do that. Say, hey, we'll have it on file.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Luke, the next item is yours as well. Unless anyone has any other questions regarding this ordinance, we'll
What
just
is
see
the
it on.
next one?
All right. And so our next discussion item is a resolution regarding the public speech and behavior. Unfortunately, the draft has not been fully looked at by our council to be brought back to us. So we expect to have it sometime this week. So I'm going to table this until our next discussion, or basically Tuesday. I think it's going to be used and talked about in code and possibly
Yeah.
the TC meeting. So I guess we'll hold off on that until then. If everyone is okay with that.
Yeah, it's in code, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any discussion items that I missed or that anyone would like to bring up at this point?
Can I, Chief, again, just on Parker, we continue to get emails about safe bike routes to schools. You're doing some of that, but just want to make sure, are we still focusing on Parker there?
yeah, we're focusing on Parker, Parker Avenue between Irvington Avenue and Prospect Street. Also, so we, in all streets in between, we have, year to date, we have issued 57 summonses on Parker alone.
Okay,
We've conducted 70 traffic details, 322 inspections because we have the religious building there. 97 speed radar details and over 100 just like crime details in that area. So we've been there a lot. So that's been our focus over there.
thank you.
Yeah.
Committeewoman Engel, you just arrived. We had just talked a little bit before you got here about the traffic calming and control over by Tuscan. I didn't know if you had any input that you wanted to share with Chief Sally and anyone in the committee.
Yeah, I saw that on the agenda, so I was hopping on, but I guess I just missed it because I live on Bowdoin. I've noticed an increased presence, especially in the morning, but like today at pickup, there was nobody there and there were cars parked illegally. I really don't understand parents because like there's been so many emails. Even when there were like three police cars and like 4 officers, people were still like doing illegal stuff. I did chat with one of the crossing guards who was grateful for the cones that she has now there. So I don't know. The PTA is really trying. I just don't know what is going on with parents. So if you're listening, parents, please just like use the drop-off zones. They're clearly work.
Right. Just so you know, if we're not there, it's because we're detailing something else for something going on. But if we're not doing that, we're there, or we'll be covering that.
Yeah, there's got to be some responsibility on human beings to like follow rules. So I've been trying to tell Tuscan that a lot of it's been through digital communications, that maybe they need to go back to paper or something. But I don't know.
Flyer, do they still have backpacks, flyers in the backpacks?
I don't think those will work because like
Yeah,
once
they
your
do
kids get into
digital
older
now.
grades, you don't really check it. And it's the older kids who are really the ones that are getting dropped off through that lane. Because the younger kids have to stay. Sorry, teachers, I'm guilty of not checking the backpack.
We can put a piece of paper under the windshield. They wouldn't like that.
No,
That's a
they would
ticket.
not.
That's a
And the
ticket.
neighborhood wouldn't either because they'd end up on the ground.
Yeah. So, no, I'm talking about tickets. A
Oh,
ticket-
well, that one. Oh, well, yeah,
Not
they
a
wouldn't.
flyer.
Yeah, not a flyer, a
I
ticket.
was thinking kind. Vic is like, go for the throat.
No, it was really, I mean, I've been here a long time, so when my kids were going to Tuscan, it was no nonsense. Cops were get out of the yellow zone, get out of the emergency zone, and just, you know, people knew. So I think the presence will help a lot, Chief. Like if it's consistent and then they're not there, they're gonna be thinking, uh-oh, you know, somebody's gonna come behind me with their lights. So
Omnipresence.
yeah, exactly.
I honestly think a lot of it is also it could be people rushing to get the train because the school times have changed. So the drop off is now at 8:53 and there's a 9:00 something train. And that's been a huge issue for the Tuscan community. Because you can't bike, so you can't even have your kids bike and bike to the train. So that's like why we've been pushing that on the school district side. It's an issue. So I think people are just in a rush. And it gets really trafficking. And people come flying down Harvard. I mean, it's like a mess. And then you have that ice patch on the corner of Broadwood and Harvard when I don't know why that just freezes over. I always scared I'm gonna like go into the intersection.
Yeah, we
Have
got,
any of the commuter parents tried to meet with the school to talk about the issue of the closeness to the train? And maybe do a start time?
The issue was that the school announced it really late and people did complain to the school, but it's like, well, you wanted busing. This is how it works. That's why. It's because of the tiered busing. So they had to separate out. So some schools, so originally they were going to start some the earlier schools earlier and leave the later schools at the same time. But I guess there was concern that why is only one group, 3 of the schools getting the earlier start? Everybody should be affected. So they pushed it only a little bit earlier and the other ones later. And they didn't think about the repercussions. I mean, we had it the same with the PD and our crossing guards. They just didn't think about anything, but I think besides the busing costs, which is a big issue to think about.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
But
that could,
those assignments are happening. So I keep mentioning to the school board to be in touch with the PD about what those crossing guards or what those schedules are going to be or what the side placements are going to be. So you guys know traffic patterns and know crossing guards. And I don't know if they've reached out. They have a lot going on, but Chief Sally, you might want to have somebody check in or just ask timing or get a meeting on the book so that we can figure that out.
right.
Yeah,
And
it's
early
gotta
as
be the
possible, 'cause-
administration. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is not new. This is school board stuff, and the school district's been around for a very long time. They've done this before. It shouldn't be a problem for them to get times out early enough to make sure that crossing guard coverage is there, police officers coverage is there, and that parents have the ability to know, okay, I can't take this train, I got to take this one.
Right.
Well, it was the integration plan. That's why it was the
I know,
just
but
rolling
still,
out
they
a
were
new
But they
plan.
had that
I
information.
agree.
They
No,
just
I
did
agree.
not get
No, the school district needs to stop relying on the townships to suddenly have to respond to
and carry their weight.
physical and police improvements, you know, like
is
it's,
this something you can bring up at the liaison meetings?
I bring them up. We've
Haven't
only
had
had
one yet.
one so far.
Oh,
I bring
well,
it up,
that's a
but every
problem.
time I talk, anybody.
yeah, but we
So,
haven't even had one since I've been on it.
we've had one. We had one
Maybe, but I
in
feel like.
February. We had one in February. But do you have like a contact in the transportation office that you deal with or something? I mean, I don't think it would hurt for the police department to reach out and be like, hey, just a reminder, let us know as you do placements because we're looking at our traffic patterns, we're looking at bike lanes, we're looking at
Yep.
crossing guards, we're doing our budgeting, and now it's like a good time for us to have some idea. Is placement going to be kind of roughly the same neighborhoods? Because I know there was a lot of talk about how all of Tuscan, except for one student last year, got fed to MMS. And there was criticism over that. So there might be people now from the Tuscan area going to Psalms. Who knows? Like no one knows.
Yeah, definitely. We gotta get it to them early because we were kind of like changing our scheduling of crossing guards and officers like during the school year because
Yeah.
the times change.
Right.
And then the domino effect of Tuscan closes later than the middle school, but our guards are leaving the middle school because middle school is out.
Right.
However, there's 10 kids walking the route past the middle school and we have nobody there. So we have to make that adjustment early.
Yeah, they got to communicate better. They just got to communicate better and earlier.
We
At
we
all.
also have received complaints from people who live on Beach between Academy and Prospect. Because the parking there's no parking in the afternoon from 1 to 3, and I believe there's no parking in the morning from 9 to 11. I was there today at 2, and the street is full of cars.
Okay.
Yeah. And people make U-turns there. I remember that from last year. When they don't want to drive down Academy, they just bang a U-turn and go back up the other way. They just came down. So it like totally throws off the whole pattern.
And it's a real problem there because when they park on both sides, there's no way to get two
They don't have
cars.
enough
And an
space.
emergency vehicle would have a difficult time.
Okay.
So. And it's signed, there's plenty of signs on that block saying no parking.
There are.
Got it.
All right. All right, so this brings us to our public comment period. Mr. Wary, if you could manage that, that would be great.
If any members of the public would like to speak in public portion, please raise your hand now. And moving over Rachel Fisher to panelist. Ms. Fisher, welcome to public portion. You can unmute yourself and address the committee.
Thank you, and thank you all so much for your dedicated work to our public safety. My name's Rachel Fisher, as you heard, and I'm a longtime resident of Maplewood. I was involved with the gun violence prevention volunteers who advocated against the ALICE program being part of our schools. Overall, through the democratic process, our community has chosen to keep police out of our schools, except when needed to protect from outside threats. Through the policy of the democratically elected Board of Education, we have chosen not to over-police students. I don't think it crossed anyone's mind that we needed a policy about not over-policing educators, but maybe we do. I'm here because of what is happening to Frank Sanchez. I do not understand how our local police could intervene in a matter that was appropriately being handled by the school district, which followed the law and board policy in referring the case to Child Protective Services, which declined to pursue it. We as a community have made policy through the democratic process, stating that educators should de-escalate conflict situations so that they do not rise to the level of calling armed police into our schools. Mr. Sanchez has supported de-escalation and the restorative process, which is district policy whenever possible. Perhaps that was the intention in this incident. We've been told that after someone leaked an unauthorized faulty report about this incident to the police, our police department chose to investigate the high school principal, even though the Department of Child Protection chose not to. Frank Sanchez is in a Kafkaesque nightmare right now, and our police department seems to have played a significant role in bringing this nightmare about, and I don't understand why. I asked the Township Committee to look into how this happened and whether the police department has the kind of relationship with the school district that it should, because it seems to me that something has gone very wrong. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher.
If any other members of the public would like to speak in public portion, please raise your hand now. I see no other hands, Ms. Craig.
Okay, well, if there are no further comments and discussions regarding the agenda items from before, I would move that we move into our executive session to discuss the items that we have in our closed agenda.
I second it.
Is there no seconds?
I was on mute.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.